A lot of people are rushing into tech sales with the expectation of 6+ figure income and so today I want to discuss the harsh reality of being in tech sales as an SDR. I feel like tech sales is something that is becoming more and more popular as time goes on. And with that, lots of people are coming forward talking about like the great parts of being in tech sales, whether it's the cool company that you work for, the high ticket salary that you get, unlimited days off, things of that nature. But the reality is there are cons to consider. I definitely feel like I contribute to all of the great talk that goes on with being an SDR, but it's only right for me to tell y'all that there are some things that you need to consider if you're still aspiring to become an SDR. The first thing that I wanted to bring attention to is how demanding and difficult this job can actually be. Having things like KPIs, quotas, things of that nature, it's not like you could just go to work, do your job, and go home. You have to actually produce a certain amount of meetings or closes if you're an AE or so. Just that alone makes it extremely stressful. And a lot of times there's a level of worry, even if you're doing good, like when you're making books and you're hitting all the things you're supposed to do, you still may feel like, okay, yeah, I'm good this month, but what about next month? Like all of the victories are very, very, very short-lived. The moment that you get a book, you celebrate, yay, then on to the next. It's not like you get to kind of sit and simmer in your glory. You have to keep going every single day, because the moment that you stop, your pipeline's going to dry up, and then you're not going to have any leads, and then you're going to be in the danger zone of not hitting quota, which then puts you in a dangerous position to lose your job eventually. Another con to consider is that this job can be very repetitive. You're doing the same exact thing every day. For some folks, that repetitiveness can drive you crazy. It can feel like, oh, it's just another day of monotony and the same thing over and over and over again. So paying attention to if you're somebody who can handle that day in, day out, every single day, every single week, that may be something to, consider. Also, another area that I'm not sure if people really talk about would be having like a lack of support. Now, I've experienced both having so much support, like wonderful support, and then none at all. And let me tell you, the time that I didn't have any support was literally the hardest damn thing ever. Brand new to the field, I didn't have a mentor, and I was working remote. So it felt so isolating and like alone, and I just didn't understand like what I was supposed to be doing, or why when I got on the phone with these people, they didn't really want to talk, or like what was I saying? And so not having that support, or not having somebody literally baby step you through if you're having challenges, can be a deterrent. It could be something that you just say, you know what, this is too much for me, I don't want to do this. And hopefully you never get to that point, but some people do. And if you don't ask for help, a lot of times you'll just fall through the cracks. So you absolutely cannot be shy about reaching out to others for help, looking for resources. You definitely want to have somebody there to support you through this, and someone who's willing to answer all of those questions that you have. I also feel like a conversation that is not happening is like, a lot of people are rushing into tech sales with the expectation of 6+ figure income. And let me be clear, that does happen. For some people, they absolutely, their first year in tech sales, they hit 6 figures. I definitely like to mention that because who am I to take that information away from somebody? However, I definitely like to kind of stay within the probable versus possible, because I like to give people real expectations of what it is that they may be getting into. And I think that, people are looking for those huge paychecks, and that's not the reality for a lot of people right away. In tech sales though, is very known for paying 150 to 200, 300K, especially as you become more and more seasoned. It's normal, I'll say that. It's very normal to reach that kind of salary. But off the rip, year one, I kind of would just back off from that expectation. Now, granted, you're still going to get paid very well. In my opinion, 70K, sometimes 80K, that's amazing for an entry-level position. But I just see a lot of people's expectations being so high, and then when they get a job, they're like, I'm only finding jobs that are like offering me 60K, and it's like, yeah, that's kind of the average for somebody who's brand new to the field with no tech background or no sales experience. And some may think that, hey, if I'm not getting paid 100K to do this, it's not worth my time, and that's fine. Another thing to consider would also be the amount of research that you have to do for your products. So even though you're working like 40 hours or so already on the clock, there's a lot of time outside of that, especially in the beginning, that you're going to spend learning about your product, learning about the other industries, learning about your buyer persona and the ICP. There's so much knowledge that you need to have to be able to be agile in your conversations. That's not all going to happen during work hours. You're going to have to take time outside of work hours to really learn that, and then over time you can take less and less and less, but in the beginning it's something that you absolutely have to learn. And this is you never stop learning in this position. If that's something that you don't really like, then, but in this position, you got to keep learning the new tactics, learning new ways to engage with others. All these things matter so much. Sales is kind of portrayed as something that is like super simple, but it's an art to it. And if you don't understand the pieces that it takes to really be good at it all together, you may struggle, and then ultimately you may not succeed. So having to be creative, having to be adaptable, having to constantly kind of be on your toes. It's never a day where you can just kind of relax and do this job. This job is gritty AF. It takes a lot of energy. I know some days, like with this YouTube, it was like almost a month straight where I just didn't do any videos because at the end of my shift, I was done. I didn't want to do anything. I didn't want to think. I didn't want to nothing, because all of the energy and having to have high energy constantly when you're making these calls, when you're reaching out to people, you don't want to call a prospect with low energy and think, they're going to buy from you. The point of this video was not to discourage you. It's actually the opposite. I want you to have the full picture, okay? I don't want to just tell you the good, even though the good are wonderful motivators. I want y'all to see exactly what you're getting into when you go into these roles. I feel like the best thing you could do for somebody is to tell them all of the expectations, good and bad, so then they can make the educated decision to move forward. And because, I'm a huge advocate of course careers, I went through that course, and I'm definitely somebody who I never would feel right telling you to get into something just based off of the pros, because to me that's just weird. I hope what I said was very informative, because that was the point of this video. If I haven't scared you away from being an SDR, please consider going down in my description and you'll see course careers. I've also have a couple of videos where I explain my experience and my review. So I'm gonna get out of here before I just start saying random words. Thank you so much for your time, and have a good one.